if somebody were to have not seen your videos, can you actually bring your personality and your essence to one product? What can that
Oh yeah,
product be?
that's the good way of putting it. The way a creator or creators talk about their merchandise tells you a lot about their revenue stream.
Merchandising can actually help. If you're a creator, it can actually help with your top line. It can actually help
Yeah.
with your income. With merchandising, yes, you have to sort of create it, you have to find partners, but if it hits well.
Just kidding, guys. These guys are making a lot of money through their merchandise. They have devoted an entire episode to it, creating live ideas, discussing with each other. Joe Rogan, on the other hand, probably making much more merchandise than these guys, but he doesn't care about it, right? Because his main revenue stream is something else.
Correct. Look at this. I really want to highlight this, folks. 88% are male. If you were to open a merchandise store for Joe Rogan, you can have barbecue grills, you can have beer,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can have this
Cigars that is.
cigars.
See, at the end of the day, a merch is a thing with a story.
There's something so interesting and tangible about merchandise, right? And I'm not just talking about creator merchandise here, but having something which is real, which is off the screen, just makes it so much more likable. You can feel it, you can touch it, you can perhaps smell it. In some cases, you can eat it. And when it comes to creators, and when it comes to this parasocial relationship that you share with creators, where you're mostly watching them through a screen, and very rarely you can watch them at an event. But when you buy merchandise, it's like you can be them, or you become a part of them. It's like taking a share of a company, right? You're taking a share of a company who's the creator, or you can embody the spirit of who the creator is and perhaps become a creator yourself. In this episode of Creator Deep Dive, well, yes, that is in Creators We Trust. In this episode of Creator Deep Dive by Thousand Faces Club, we're going to be speaking about merchandising, the wondrous world of merchandising, but not through such a wide lens. We're going to actually narrow it down to two creators. One of them is a very, very popular, perhaps the most popular podcasters out there, Mr. Joe Rogan. And the second one are a bunch of boys who also podcast. I think all boys podcast these days, but they're a bunch of Asian people, boys and girls really, who are podcasters who have a very popular podcast, and it's really, really getting popular. But before we speak about their merchandise, their journeys, and how you should think about merchandising in general, I want to say hi to Shubham, who is wearing a t-shirt by Phyllo in Creators We
Yeah.
Trust. Shubham, how's it going?
I'm here just to, represent TF merchandise today.
I mean, yeah, you can actually go to that's a great point there, Shubham, because you can actually go right now. The
Yeah.
holiday season is right here, right? So if you want some nice t-shirts, good quality t-shirts, just head to the link that we've given in the description. You can check out some actual t-shirts, official t-shirts by Thousand Faces Club, right? So all the
Yeah.
shipping details and everything, I think Shubham, the folks will know once they click on the links.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
Absolutely.
like I love merchandise.
Yeah.
Like in our lives,
Yeah.
in my life,
Yeah.
there are three levels of merchandise.
Okay.
Sports merchandise.
Uh-huh.
You either buy some, jersey of a team.
India cricket team jersey. Like, do you want?
The second one is Hollywood merchandise.
Sure.
We've all, wore like a Batman t-shirt
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
any
Absolutely.
quote by Al Pacino, something,
Yeah.
Godfather. And the third one, which is a wonderful entry, is creator merchandise,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you know what? I love the moment when I'm, wishing for some merchandise from a creator and I find it out.
Right. Right.
Like, for example, Joe Rogan. I mean, Joe Rogan doesn't talk about his merchandise at all, right?
Right.
Whatever he's selling. But I always wanted, the logo of his channel
Yeah.
somewhere, in my study room.
Yeah.
So when I found out, like, this guy actually has like t-shirts, bags, pajamas, I don't know, many things.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised. And I think in creator economy, that pleasant surprise is all about, the merchandising is all about that pleasant surprise.
That's lovely. I think that's such a great way to put it, right? Because whenever I come across these creators as well, who have that ability to almost commercialize isn't
Yeah.
really a negative term here, but like putting yourself out there, but it's not in the screen form. Like it's a small part, it's like a smaller part of you. So I think that's very, it's like a aha moment ki, hey, you know what, I can have, when I'm recording a podcast, I can probably have a frame of Joe Rogan, or I can probably wear Casey Neistat glasses with me,
Oh
right? So
yeah.
so it's
Iconic.
very tangible, which is what I enjoy. But Shubham, today, what really I'll tell you what incited this entire sort of video for me, right? And how it started was this video by these boys called the Careful Boys. They call themselves. It's like a collective
Just
of
kidding.
Asian
Yeah.
people, right? So just kidding news. That's the name of the channel. So they actually did a video, and it was titled "Off the Record," which is one of their popular sub genres that they cover, and it's like a show within the show, right? It's a segment, and they said JK merch, which is just kidding merch, is killing. Thank you all, right? So they basically did a video where they were discussing it, like, and all of them. It's like a very casual talk show format. They were speaking about how their merchandise has exploded,
Yeah.
and I can almost estimate that it actually is a big part of their income as creators, right? So a very big part here, why we're speaking about merchandising on Creator Deep Dive, is because merchandising can actually help. If you're a creator, it can actually help with your top line, it can actually help
Yeah.
with your income. Sure, it takes a cost to manufacture as well. So unlike other products where with content where your marginal cost isn't very high at all because your distribution is sorted, with merchandising, yes, you have to sort of create it, you have to find partners, but if it hits, it hits well, right? So
Yeah.
Shubham,
Yeah. Yeah.
what are your thoughts on the video and what you thought?
I mean, the way a creator or creators are, talk about their merchandise tells you a lot about their revenue stream,
Right. Yeah.
right? Because just kidding, guys,
Yeah.
right? These guys are making a lot of money through their merchandise. They have devoted an entire episode to it.
Yeah.
They are, creating live ideas, discussing with each other. Joe Rogan, on the other hand, probably making much more through
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
merchandise than these guys, but he doesn't care about it, right?
Sure.
Because
Sure.
his main revenue stream is something else.
Correct. Correct.
So
Correct.
that's one thing. If creator is talking a lot about his merchandise and he's getting a lot of views, you can safely bet on them.
Right.
You
Right.
know, move your shit as well.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And I mean, what I thought of that video, I loved it because they are having fun. They are discussing ideas. Probably
Yeah.
they discuss ideas like that off
Correct.
camera also.
Correct. Correct.
Why not turn that into content as well?
Turn that into content. Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
that's one beautiful part of the album. But Shubham, we've been using Inside IQ
Oh
for the
yeah.
past few videos. A really fun tool. Of course, it's very helpful, but it's also so fun to see how these creators are sort of how they're going, what's their path, what is their path looking like
Yeah.
for the
Let's go.
future
Yeah.
and ahead. And who do you want to start with, Shubham? So whatever you tell me, I will start with that creator.
Let's start with underdogs.
With the underdogs, just
Yeah.
getting news, I'm
Just
guessing.
kidding, news guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Let's share their screen and Inside IQ, folks. Again, the link for Inside IQ is actually in the description box. You can give it a spin for yourself. You can check it out in the description box.
Yeah.
We will be sharing our screens and you can see some very interesting data. And I assure you, extremely interesting data from their YouTube, from the TikTok, from the Instagram. But we'll sort of restrict it to YouTube for now. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, Shubham, we are live with the Insight IQ
Yes.
for
Some juicy
just
numbers.
getting news. Some just
Yep.
juicy numbers right here. Uh, Very briefly, we can look at their overall performance. Shubham, 2.02 million subscribers, not too bad, pretty great.
Yeah.
Engagement rank is low, I would say, right?
Yeah. I
0.06
mean,
is
it's very low. For example, I mean, it should not be like it's so low in the decimals. Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely
I don't know if it's the content or like the way the audience engages with their content. Because
right.
maybe most of their things are hot takes, and you
Yeah.
don't necessarily want to be seen, commenting on a hot take. So that's why I guess.
Perhaps that is that, and I think previously their videos they wouldn't have gotten a. It averages out, right? So again,
Yeah.
it's an average of the post. So the details are in the devils, of course, as they say. The devil is in the details, rather.
Oh,
But
yeah. One more
yeah,
thing, Shri. They talk
yeah,
a lot about races,
they do.
Asian thing, Filipino thing. I mean, they invite people like them only who are talking
Yeah,
about these things. So these are very controversial things
very
to
controversial
comment on.
things. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Controversy is, I think, a very important part of the ethos of Just Kidding News.
Yeah.
Although they're just kidding, but it's still
But
quite
yeah.
racy and controversial. And of course, you have quite a few YouTube videos that have done really well. Right, these are of course shorts which have done really well, so 1.57 million and whatnot. But I actually want to head to this section, which is one of my favorite sections of Inside IQ Shubham,
Hmm.
which is intent to buy, right,
Yeah.
and audience sentiment. So as you're mentioning, so 72% is actually positive if you look in audience sentiment,
Yeah.
but there are negative comments as well. So perhaps these people are the people who are like angry at whatever they've said, or they have a different opinion, or they're just not liking what is being mentioned here. 13% roughly is neutral as well,
Yep.
which is also interesting. Again, so they're analyzing, so it's important to look at the subset as well. 134 comments across the most relevant posts. So again, that's the yardstick that we're looking at. The intent to buy, Shubham, is 3.73%.
Yeah.
Again, not very
Not bad,
high, but
but not
it's not,
bad also.
but not too bad also, right? Because again,
Yeah.
uh, intent to buy is a very difficult metric. Like anything, I think anything above 10, Shubham, is just like fantastic.
Oh,
Like,
I mean,
I mean,
that's like unheard of. Like
that's
anything
unheard
above
of. I
10.
think,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
yeah, I think above 10 is like what?
Yeah,
Like,
but Shri, what's really important here
hmm,
is the volume. They're
right,
not getting, many comments on
sure,
their, average per post.
sure,
So I won't say it's a good number when you compare it to the kind of engagement rate they have.
sure.
That's just YouTube. I think they
That is
have
just
much
YouTube.
bigger engagement rate on TikTok, and they're
Correct.
focusing there because they're not putting their merchandise link anywhere except on TikTok. You
Right,
can't even
right,
find
right.
it on YouTube.
Absolutely.
So if they
That's
are making any
interesting.
money, that's it's good, amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, that's very interesting that you mentioned TikTok and short form content, because I really want you to look at this one. This is just some of the most incredible growth that I've
wow.
seen when it comes to subscribers, right? So clearly, a lot of short form content is being used from them. So they're going from they've grown a lot, and right, and what happens is that as you grow, people want to become like. Of course, not everybody turns out to be a super
Yep.
fan, but there are people who want to be super fans, right? And these super fans are the ones who would buy a merchandise, right? Like it merchandise is one of those things which doesn't apply to everyone. Of course, if you're looking at a brand like a Feastables or a Prime, that is a different scale, that's a different level altogether, right? But
Yeah.
for a creators who are just starting out, it's going to be a super fans who really enjoy it, right? It's going to be a super fans who are going to talk about it, because it's like almost like a sign of representation, right? And I love what you mentioned, Shubham, about the three levels or the three types of merchandise that are there in pop culture. So it's sports, it's Hollywood and TV shows basically,
Yeah.
and now we have creators. So again, very interesting that as you as your subscribers grow, hopefully your the people who purchase your product also grows, although it is still a small subset. The likes growth though, Shubham, perhaps that has been very interesting, how it's almost the opposite, right? So you ever
Yeah.
since August you're seeing a growth here in terms of subscribers, but the likes have been going down. So that's an
Very strange. Yeah.
interesting trend, right? Like it's almost at the corollary, like it's two separate lines altogether at the same time. So that's with them. But the point is that, see, their merchandise game, as you mentioned, they've dedicated an entire video to it. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that they want to double down on this, right? Because if they've mentioned this on a full video, and if they've mentioned it on TikTok, I'm pretty sure they'll get it to YouTube as well, right? They speak about it sometimes on the Instagram as well. So merchandise clearly for these folks, it is quite important, right? It is
Yeah.
quite an
But I have one
important part of
question
life.
for you here,
Right,
Shri. If you scroll down to the audience,
right.
I really want to know from you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you scroll down further?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at this age distribution,
Hmm.
who do you think buys, the most merchandise? Is it 18 to 24 guys or 25 to 34? Because Joe Rogan has it, completely distributed all across the age groups.
Right, 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 right.
But they have predominantly like almost more than 60% people coming from this band. Do
That's a
you
very
think
interesting point.
this band buys more than, let's say, the immediate one, 25 to 34?
No, I actually think that it's going to be these folks right here, the 25 to 34-year-olds who will
Yeah.
buy, who will do a spending, although they're only 26% of the audience moment. Here you're looking at actually 61, which is
61.
massive,
Wow.
which is just massive. But I actually think that people who are, and again, I'm guessing people who are on their first job, so we're looking at 20 to 23, they're just in their first job, probably don't have too much of discretionary income, right? You're just sort of making not minimum wage, but like you're
Yeah.
not making too much money. But perhaps once you're 25, 34, and it's also important to understand, Shubham, uh, in my opinion, that the age of the creator and the age of the people who are purchasing that, sometimes that also, there is a correlation in that as well, right? So for example,
Yeah.
these people
Interesting.
are
Yeah.
married, like they're also in their 30s, so you would want to be like, acha, these 30-year-old dudes are especially when it comes to beauty and lifestyle and fashion and whatnot, right? So these
30-year
guys
old
are
dudes who are having midlife crisis already.
midlife crisis already, so they're wearing like a careful boys t-shirt. So you're like, you know what, I'm also going through a big crisis. Oh, I'm not yet married. Oh, I don't have a proper job, and I'm going to wear this careful boys t-shirt. So I think that is there. I wish we could really get a sense of their their store, their Shopify or whatever, and what the actual figures are.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
actually think more than the 18 to 24-year-olds, we're looking at the 25 to 34-year-olds
You
here.
know what, Shri, I also think one thing, like I see a mismatch between, the merchandise and the people they have on their channel. Like
Hmm.
40% females they have,
Right.
which is like
Right.
more than the average of YouTube, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yet their merchandise is very boyish, like boy centric.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do
It
you
is.
think do you think females are buying Just Kidding News merchandise?
I don't think so. Perhaps for their boyfriends, but for their partners, but not for themselves. I don't think that's the
Yeah.
demographic. But they really should. They really should sort of address this as well, because 40% folks. I honestly, Shubham, wasn't expecting their audience to be 40%
Yeah, it's very strange, man.
female, which is really really strange. And of course, if you look at countries, you have 56% for the US. So clearly,
Yeah,
US is the major market where people will be getting much. All right. Next creator, Shubham, is again, perhaps we know the most popular creator when it comes
podcaster.
to
Yep.
podcasters and just general pop culture figure now, right? So
Inside
just
IQ is gonna, blast from all the data that's
oh
gonna
yeah, yeah,
come its
yeah.
way.
I'm very excited for Inside IQ. Is it visible? Is it visible? Joe Rogan screen?
No, it's still on Just Kidding News.
Okay, I'll share this tab instead.
Oh yeah, we can see now. Powerful JRE.
Powerful JRE, the Joe Rogan. I love this bio. Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Nothing else. Like he's just not
I
mentioned
think we
anything
need
else.
to work on the creator's age though. It says 25 to 34. He's
He's more than that. He's much
yeah.
more than that. I
Yep.
think they just took a estimate. But look at this, Shubham. Like this is just engagement
Man,
rate. Funnily enough,
it's
not
more
too
than
high.
yeah, not
Not
to lie, but it's quite higher, than like it's literally what
because of the
20
wall.
20% higher or
Yeah, because of the
33% higher.
volumes that we're
Yep.
speaking about. Like it just gets that much higher.
Yeah.
626K views
Wow.
per video, which is just insane. Right. And looking at, of course, the Elon Musk video is extremely
Yeah.
popular, right? With 1.1 million views. Now, folks, with the
Hmm.
comments for this one, we've actually, Inside IQ, because there is such a barrage of comments, so many comments here. So we are still loading that and we're still working on that.
Yeah.
But I want to go to something very interesting here, Shubham, which is this
Man, still
uh,
growing like crazy, huh?
still growing, right? And of course, as we know, the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, the full show, actually is only on Spotify, right? The video version also you can
Yeah,
actually
it's a
consume on
secondary
Spotify.
platform. And
It's a
he's
secondary platform
yeah,
only for clips, but just look at this.
damn.
This is just incredible. This is just, uh, I mean, quite insane if I were to be honest, in terms of how this person has been growing. Few for the last few months, and very rarely do we see such a smooth and a straight line of growth, right? This is very, I wouldn't say nothing is very
Yeah.
incremental, like oh he shot up, but very consistently a very positive line. Like if I was an investor in his channel, I would be very happy because I can see a nice
Oh
good
yeah.
smooth trend, right? And even the likes are quite interesting. But coming to this, Shubham, this
No
is one of my
surprises
favorite
here.
things.
Yeah,
Look
no
at this. I,
surprises.
I really want to highlight this, folks. 88% are male, right?
Yep.
Which is just, I mean, if you were to open a merchandise store for Joe Rogan, you can have barbecue grills, you can have beer,
Oh
you
yeah.
can have this because
Cigars that is
cigars that
yeah.
he's I would love to see a cigar line with Joe Rogan, Shubham. Like
Oh
that is
yeah.
such a
That's
great
actually a
idea.
good idea.
Right. So 88% here. And once you look at the demographics, right,
He's everywhere. Yeah.
he's
Like again.
everywhere.
Oh, it's
Very nice
bigger
split.
than the yeah, it's 41.
Yeah, yeah. So 41 is actually, it's higher than the 18 to 24-year-old kids.
Yeah.
So they have that, and of course, if you look at creators with similar audience, it is people in his bracket.
Yeah.
But
See, one more thing about this, the similar
right,
creators thing that you just
yeah,
showed at the end.
right,
He's created, such a ecosystem, right? Because
yes,
I remember earlier when somebody used to come on Joe Rogan's podcast, he used to tell them like, "Why don't you start your podcast?"
yeah,
Jocko Willing started there. I
right,
think Russell Brand started because he asked him to. That way, he's created similar audience which goes beyond his immediate brand, and I think
absolutely.
it helps him great deal.
Absolutely. No, that's such a great point, right? It's almost like his brand, Joe Rogan's brand, is not just limited to Joe Rogan experience, but also in the multitude of podcasts. And many podcasts have tried to copy him as well, Shubham. Like,
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
format, it's something that is so, almost seems so simplistic, right? But everybody tries to copy it, but not everybody can achieve the success that he has, the personality or the curiosity or the cigars that he
Oh
rolls.
yeah, man.
But very interesting here, Shubham, is actually the part about his merchandise. What did you think about the fact that he doesn't speak about it? Why do you think that's the case?
I think it's a very small percentage of his revenue stream.
Right, right.
And you see, sometimes it's not, like some men are that way. They
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can't, talk about selling t-shirts.
yeah.
Right, that's why they have, like, Jamie's in the room when he
Right.
looks,
Yeah,
sideways
yeah.
and asks for something.
Ask for something.
He won't do it himself.
Correct, correct. It's
He
so
just
much
simply
related
mentions the
to,
website. Yeah,
it's so much related to your personality as well, right? Like, you have your MKBHD has shoes that
yeah,
he's done in association. So 251s, I think they're called. Right, a bunch of creators have spun off their own brands, right? And I think Colin and Samir have also done a great work on documenting some of the, like, merchandise that these creators have, and whether it's a
yeah,
yay or a nay. But I think personally, if you were to ask me, Shubham, in terms of merchandising for creators and what creators should really aspire to be, is that, let's say if I am a travel vlogger, right, and I'm just starting out, like I have about 10K, which is not starting out, but still, if I have 10K, which is a sizable,
number.
decentish
Yeah, yeah,
number for a
yeah,
independent or a small creator, and if I'm a travel vlogger, I would love to actually have bag tags, or, like, perhaps like a backpack, although a backpack would be very costly for the creator to create. But like, something as
yeah,
simple as, like, you're having a bag tag with
yeah.
your, okay, you can have this name here.
If it
uh,
goes with the brand, then it,
Exactly,
moves. Yeah,
exactly. So I think that is really important to understand, that if somebody were to, have seen your videos, can you actually bring your personality and your essence to one product, right? What can that
oh yeah,
product be?
that's the good way of putting it. Yeah,
Yeah, because t-shirts are of course very common, right? Like, t-shirts are the default ones. You see merchandise, you're like, oh, of course, yeah, Shubham is wearing
yeah, yeah,
the Phyllo t-shirt. I'm wearing the Gyan Central t-shirt, right? So that is there. So these things are definitely there in terms of t-shirts. But what else can you do? One example that I really like here is binging with Babish, who's of course, although Babish is not his real name, but it's channel which is on food, and it's on recipes, and he does a lot of food creations. And apparently his knife, the kitchenware that he makes, is really incredible, right? But that's not the only example that has done really well. Shubham, you also mentioned people that
yeah.
we've covered on Creator Deep Dive who have their own merch. Talk
Absolutely.
about that.
Wilderness cooking, for
Right,
example, a guy
right,
from a village from, Azerbaijan.
right.
He's using the top class utensils, knives,
Right.
bowls. Everything is branded.
Correct, correct,
He's selling it like crazy without even saying anything, because that guy
correct.
doesn't even utter a word in his videos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
amazing.
So it's very interesting to look at merchandise creations, right? And I would say, definitely for creators who are just starting out, understand which path you want to go to, right? T-shirts are an obvious, right? T-shirts, of
Yeah,
course.
no
If I
brainer.
slap if I slap my logo, people will sort of want to purchase it. A great example of this is Yes Theory, right? Yes Theory has
Oh
been
yeah,
very big on this, where seek discomfort, hoodies and T-shirts and whatnot. But what else can you do, right? Because only then, if your merchandise can go beyond the time when you have to slap a logo, if it just becomes
yeah.
a great product on its own, I think that's a great aim to be as well, right? Because now Feastables is a point where, even if you don't know Mr. Beast, although that's quite uncommon, but
Mm,
you'll still want to purchase a Feastables because it looks good enough, right? So that's, I think, the ultimate aim. That's like the highest order thing, that okay, you can reach there. But before starting out on that level as well, of course, have merchandise which is your T-shirt, or you can go in the Joe Rogan style and you can have merch which is very interesting. But I think it's such a great example, Shubham. Just I want to conclude and say, it is such a big reminder whenever I'm wearing a creator's brand, right? So, for example, it's Gyan Central right now, or let's say I have something interesting in front of me, which is the Spotify for podcasters,
nice. Okay.
thing which they had given a few months ago here in Mumbai. So I think these things, once they're there in your in your cupboard, right? These are very personal spaces. So I
Yeah,
think with merchandise, it really allows you to seep through their personal spaces. Yeah, you're on somebody's desk,
absolutely.
you're on somebody's bag, you're on somebody's
Yeah.
cupboard, and you remember them.
See, at the end of the day, a merch is a thing with a story.
Yeah, Yeah,
That's it.
I think of the story. That's a lovely way to put it, Shubham. And on that note, folks, tell us in the comments what you thought about this episode and whose merchandise do you enjoy, and give us some interesting ideas for Thousand Faces Club. What merchandise do you want to enjoy from us? We have t-shirts, as I mentioned, but do you want to see anything else from us? Do you want to see? I don't know. Give us ideas in the comments. We're always
Yeah.
open to that. But before you can give ideas, you have to subscribe, right? There's a subscribe button, so make sure you hit that, because we come with very interesting videos every week, which make sure that your creator journey isn't as lonely. And we make it a point to come up with very interesting videos, hopefully. So leave us a comment. Please do subscribe, leave us a like. We will see you in the next one. I'm Shrivar.
I'm Shubham.
All right. Bye bye.